looking at your widowed person and going, are they always going to grieve them? Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I ask myself, when is this ever going to end? When will this pain stop? Death does not end a relationship, folks. Those narcissists can sniff you out like a hound dog coming for you. When you think of them, they think of you. It's an automatic connection. You may not have any of those things. You're just trying to live. And you can't get off the hook by saying it's just social media. It's stupid. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it matters a lot. And then you also might get lucky and find the next love of your life. Well, hello everyone. This is Sevilla I Love, and here we are on this channel getting back to living and loving life again after a major life-altering loss such as being widowed. Now, if you are dating a widow, this channel is also for you. People are asking, especially when we're coming off the tail end of a holiday, is it ever going to end? When is this sadness ever going to end? Because you might be some distance from your loss. Maybe you're starting over, you're dating again, you're living, and maybe you've had a few good days. Maybe you've had a few good weeks. Maybe you're pretty far out and you've had a few good months. Maybe you're at the beginning and you've had no good days. Okay, we all hear you. You are not alone. This sucks. But the big question is when people either fall back in the hole or in the very beginning. And it's the question I also ask myself. When is this ever going to end? When will this pain stop? When will it stop dominating every thought, every movement, every waking minute of my existence? And the truth is, it does wax and wane. Yeah, it gets better. It does. I am 13 years out from my loss now. And it feels some days still like it just happened. Now, my mother also died about a year and a half, about 2 years before my husband died. And my father had died 10 years prior to that, to my mom passing. And my son just had his 16th birthday. And there's no family around to celebrate. No, I get emails, I get messages, happy birthday. But in the way I grew up, I had family all around. I had grandparents, parents, cousins, friends down the street. My son doesn't have that. So on my son's 16th birthday, I was at the gym and I bought a little cup or something from the counter. And there was two ladies there. And one of the ladies said, "Hey, I'll check you out." And the other gal says, "No, no, I've got her. I want to check her out." And I was like, "Okay, well, fine. I'll just wait longer. No problem." I'm patient. It's fine. So I wait for the other lady to get done with her first customer, and she rings me out, gives me a receipt. I go home. And so I pull out this cup later to show my son what I bought. And I looked at the receipt and it said, Janet. And if you don't recognize synchronicities in your life, you're missing out on opportunities to connect with your loved ones on the other side. Because whether it's they interject to create some kind of influence for things to happen, or whether there's some divine plan where every piece is naturally falling into exactly the right place at exactly the right time, we're all part of that web. We're all part of that web. And so our intentions then may actually go into influence how things slowly come together, fall into place at exactly the right time. My mother's name was Janet. And I'm in that moment. I remembered my mom being in the labor and delivery room with me when I gave birth to my son, and what a rock she was, and how she just held space for that birth in a way that kept everyone feeling safe. Like, okay, we're not going to die, because it was a very harrowing birthing experience. There was a lot of danger involved. And you know what I did? This 25 years seasoned therapist, coach, consultant, grief and loss specialist. I was on my knees crying, sobbing because I missed my mom. And then, let's make it even better. I was on the phone, and my son was to inherit something when he turned 16 from his father, who died when he was 3. And so this was a momentous time. And while I was on hold with the authorities that were going to help me with this inheritance transfer, this piece of property that he's going to inherit from his father, the music comes on the radio, and the song that came on was so poignant and purposeful and meaningful. And it said, "This is a was it old gosh, who was it that sang the song? I forgot, but the lyrics were, this one goes out to the one I love. This one goes out to the one I left behind." Now, what the songwriters meant when they wrote that song is insignificant to what it meant for me in that moment. And now I'm on the phone. Now I'm crying again because this moment brought my late husband present in this moment now, as if it happened yesterday. Because here's the thing about time is time really, if you look into quantum physics and all that, which I'm not apt to explain, but I do understand enough to say, yeah, there's some science that actually supports that time's an illusion. Now, we need it here in the physical plane to be able to mark milestones as we move forward in this human experience, but time itself, there's some suggestion everything's happening all at once, which I can't really get my brain wrapped around, but the infinite universe, meaning it's infinitely expanding, is far beyond anything I could comprehend anyway. So maybe I could just lean into understanding that I can accept it. I can accept it as a concept. And that when it comes back to me in those moments, I feel it fully. And this is 13 years. Okay. I've moved on with my life, love again. My kid's 16 years old. I have a YouTube channel, a coaching practice, have therapy practice. Like, I help people with grief and loss all the time. And I'm on my hands and knees crying. I'm on the phone crying, trying to hold myself together so I can sound like a normal human being when the guy comes back. You're not alone, people. And what I want you to hear in this is not, oh my God, it's never going to end. What I want you to hear is that your capacity to manage the grief grows around it. And how you know that you're growing around the grief, because the grief stays the same size, is that you're able to allow new things into your life, new people, new love, if that's what you want, new adventures, new experiences, new ways of being, new ways of thinking of yourself and recreating yourself. I mean, listen, don't be hard on yourself. If you lost a limb, okay, let's imagine you lost a limb. Let's not hope for good, but let's imagine you lost a limb. Phantom limb is a real thing. And that means you can still feel your hand if it was chopped off. You can still feel it. It still feels pain, even. Yeah. So imagine you get a prosthetic. You learn how to use the prosthetic. It's never going to be the real hand, but you learn how to function with it. You know how to grab things and move things, and you adapt. but you never forget what it's like to have that hand. Never. Because it's part of you. It's part of your spiritual body. You know, you listen to these near-death experiences, people are out there standing outside their physical form going, oh my gosh, look at me. I listened to this one guy, he said he's covered in tattoos and he has his near-death experience. He's standing outside of his body and he's looking down. He's like, where's all my tattoos? Because he was pristine again. You have this light body that is always eternally yours. Okay, so now let's translate that to love and to connection and to relationship. Death does not end a relationship, folks. It does not end a relationship. Why? Because you knew them in one form. Now they're in another, and this channel does speak with that assumption that we continue on. If that's not your thing, it's fine. There's other people talking about other stuff. This is what I talk about. So if we continue on in an energetic form, then we still exist. So when you think of them, they think of you. It's an automatic connection. Now, you might be dating a widow person and think, well, if they're going to love them forever, then where's room for me? You know what? You're not a prosthetic. You're not a replacement. You're not. You're something new. You're something different. And you're something that comes into a person's life who's lost their sense of self, who's lost, and it was taken from them in death, however that death happened. It was taken from them. And so the adjustment period for that person is unique to them. You allowing space for them to be able to move forward is, I think, an important skill to have. Because if that person has to go into hiding about their love for their late spouse, if they have to go into hiding about the life that they had, then you're missing a huge part of who that person was. Now, let's say they'd had a military career. Okay, this just meant they were single for 20 years and they had a military career. You wouldn't expect them not to talk about their experiences in the military, the places they went, things they did. You wouldn't. Why? Because that was their life. That was their experience. Now, if they were married for 25, 40, 30, 10, 5 years, everything they did within that period of their life was done in conjunction with that other person. So are they supposed to pretend that they didn't have this life with this other person and have to cherry pick everything they tell you? That creates a situation where that person can't be fully and authentically themselves. Now, is there a line that needs to be drawn? Yes, absolutely. And the line is when the person is always there and never here with you. Okay. So this is the difference.
Hold on, quick pause. People ask me all the time if I work with clients one-on-one. Yes, I do. I offer private coaching and consultation, and you can book with me anytime using the link in the description below. Now, back to the video.
I have other videos that get more in depth with that particular issue. However, what I want you to hear about this is if the person still grieves for their late spouse, if they still get choked up at moments, if they withdraw a little bit around a holiday, they may be trying to protect you because they don't want to hurt you because they know they're feeling consumed with this wave of grief. And if you want this person, that's an opportunity for you to be able to give them space and you go do something else to take care of yourself. Remain in communication with one another. But on the other hand, if they're completely shutting you out and ghosting you because they're sad and they can't, then you also don't have to put up with that either. Okay. This requires a high degree of maturity on everybody's part in order to work well. They have to make concessions to understand you as somebody who maybe hasn't been widowed And you need to make concessions for someone who's had a traumatic loss, most likely, and be able to meet and grow in the middle from a new place of being for both of you. That's possible. So when you're looking at your widowed person and going, are they always going to grieve them? Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Yes, but they can also fully love you. They can also fully learn to be in relationship with you and learn who they are now within the context of loving you because you bring a completely different experience. But it takes time and shared experience in order to create a new couple identity. So don't be 6 months into a relationship saying, "Oh, he's always going to love his late wife," or she's always going to love her late husband, and there's no room for me. Well, if you've got that perspective, then and that's what you hold on to tightly, it's going to be a barrier. You're creating more barrier for yourself in the relationship than having the perspective of, I can create space for this loved one that existed in their past. I can make friends with them. Yeah, make friends with them. Get to know them. Be curious about them. Who were they? Because the more that person has space for the late spouse to exist, then the more likely they are to be able to let go of it. Because here's the thing, secrets have power, people. Secrets have power. And if they have to keep secret their late spouse because of you, because they're afraid of hurting you, then they're going to cling more tightly to it. So you create space for it. You allow it. Now, finding the fine line is, are you feeling respected in the process? And as the widowed person, are you respecting them? Are you still posting on your social media about your late spouse where your boyfriend or girlfriend is looking at it going, where am I in this picture? You know, when are they going to include me in their social media? And you can't get off the hook by saying it's just social media. It's stupid. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it matters a lot because it's your intention that's behind it, however that manifests in the world. Okay. But if you're early in the relationship, might not be appropriate time to be putting you out there. It is more delicate. It just is. It's not impossible, but if one of you or both of you are very immature emotionally, you're going to have a lot of problems. And that's just saying any relationship's hard, and you have some, wild card like being widowed throw in there. It could be even more challenging. Just saying. But I'm here to give you guys completely unsolicited advice, my opinion. But also, there's years and years and years of experience that come behind this. And I'm not presenting myself here as your mental health clinician because this is my opinion channel. But I do happen to be a therapist. And in the combination of these things, what I know is that human beings are complex. It's never black and white. You can't just say a widowed person is this way, and if they're not doing it this way, then they're doing it wrong. Because if that were true, then we'd all be one color. We'd all be of exactly the same culture. We'd all have exactly the same parents. We'd all be little cookie cutters of each other. And we're not. We have beautiful diversity in this world. And so we have to treat each case. Some of you out there dating a widowed person who's a narcissist. Some of you widows out there dating some woman that's a narcissist. Okay. So we can't apply every rule to every person. Some of you are struggling with PTSD. So you're struggling with serious grief disorder. Some of you have shoved it so far down, you forgot you were even married. So everyone's different. And if you are not examining yourself, this is what creates the hardships. You think about your behavior. How would I feel, if your partner is shutting down, okay, to you, if they're pulling away, if they're being a little distant, check in with yourself. Check out are you doing anything that could be selfish, harmful, insulting, alienating? Same thing. You're dating Are you? Check in. Don't ask what the other person could do. Ask what you can do. And if that doesn't pan out, where the person is giving you equal respect back, they may not do it exactly the same way you do, but you have to gauge. Are they being respectful? Are they making attempts? Are they trying? Are they communicating? That's the biggest thing. If you're getting ghosted, then don't waste your time. But if you've got somebody that says, I'm having a really hard time right now, and if I seem distant, it's not because of you, it's because of what I'm going through right now. And that's so different because now you can do something with that. You can do something with that. And if you're widowed and you're trying to date and you're feeling overwhelmed with emotion and passion and everything else, and you're like wild, wild-eyed and googly, then what? You you might feel overwhelmed by your emotions. You might be overwhelming the person you're dating with. You're like, whoa, tidal wave of love bombing. And so, number one, you be compassionate with yourselves, be compassionate with each other. But if someone's truly overgiving and the other person is just sucking it up and taking it, there is something wrong. Okay. There is something wrong, and don't deny it, especially if you, as the widowed person or the dater, have a history of being taken advantage of or abused or used or any of those kinds of things. You pay close attention because we tend to repeat those patterns with new people, whether they've been widowed or not, or whether we've been widowed or not. Okay, because widows also can be real easy targets for others to take advantage of. I mean, those narcissists can sniff you out like a hound dog coming for you. Maybe. And then you also might get lucky and find the next love of your life. Or you may not have any of those things. You're just trying to live. You're just trying to wake up in the morning and you just want to know that you're going to be okay one of these days. And the truth is, you will. You are. And 13 years down the road, you might find yourself on your knees, but not for long. Not for days on end, not for weeks on end, and not hopelessly. Because at this point, you have all this time behind you to recognize that you can function. You can live. You can remake yourself. You can understand that it's still okay, and maybe more than okay, to be exactly who you are right now. Loss and all. New love and all. And that all of this messy life existing at the same time. The past, the potential future, the present moment is all we ever have. So just allow it. Allow it. Love the person that's in front of you that you want to be with. Give allowances. Be compassionate. Be dignified. Be fair. And don't let anybody take advantage of you, no matter who you are. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.